Okay, so here's what we do. We're gonna actually read this paper by Dan Dennett from 2019 in Wired, and so this is gonna be like sort of like looking back at the history. Will AI achieve consciousness? Wrong question, and it's by Dan Dennett. And as always, feel free to ask questions along the way. Let me know what you got if you have any questions about this. He's got a memoir coming out soon. I mean, he's been old as far as I know for my entire life, so he must be ancient at this point. And yeah. So let's see if I can zoom in this a little bit better. Okay, there we go. All right, so here we go. Yeah, I mean, that'd be interesting to see what Dan Dennett has about himself. 81, so maybe he just looked old forever. Yeah, he always had that sort of like stereotypical philosopher look. So, I mean, I guess 20 years ago he was only 61 when like I may have first heard about him. So, I mean, I guess 61 if he had already gone white at that point. So, yeah, he might have even looked older. All right, but whatever. Okay. Will AI achieve consciousness? Wrong question by Dan C. Dennett. When Norbert Wiener, the father of cybernetics, wrote his book, The Human Use of Human Beings in 1950, vacuum tubes were still the primary electronic building blocks, and there were only a few actual computers in operation. Brandom takes a beard inspiration from Dennett. Yeah, Wiener. Yeah. Yes, we laugh at Wiener jokes here. Okay, but he imagined the future we now contend with in impressive detail and with few clear mistakes. More than any other early philosopher of artificial intelligence, he recognized that AI would not just imitate and replace human beings in many intelligent activities, but would change human beings in the process. We are but whirlpools in a river of ever-flowing water, he wrote. We are not stuff that abides, but patterns that perpetuate themselves. Okay, so this is just, back to the old Heraclitus. You never step in the same river twice. You're not the same person. You're not in the river's not the same river or whatever. So good job on this dude from the 50s. The dude abides. Exactly. I went around when I was in Mexico. I'd just go get margaritas all the places. Some places had cheap margaritas that were okay. Some places had slightly more expensive margaritas. And then some places had fucking amazing margaritas. I had some old ladies buy me some tequila while I was down there. Holy shit. I should have got the name of that tequila. It was great. But oh man. I was not in, I had drunk a bunch of beer at that point. Anyhow. Yeah, we are not stuff that abides. Yes, we are, but patterns that perpetuate themselves. When attractive opportunities abound, for instance, we are apt to be willing to pay a little and accept some small, even trivial cost of doing business for access to new powers. And pretty soon we become so dependent on our new tools that we lose the ability to thrive without them. Options become obligatory. And there's the thing, you can go back to the Diogenes. Diogenes would specifically shun technology for this reason. It does not become obligatory. You don't need to do this. You can still be fine without it. I see you finally found the Heraclitus. How did I become Frank, we all become what the Twitch, the streamer, they say the chat is a reflection of the streamer. You hang around with me and Vipers and all the other nutcases in community, and congratulations, this is how this happens. Yeah. Yeah, and believe me, you stick around for a philosophy roulette long enough, you start to lose your mind because you start to realize people are full of shit and all the stuff that they've been telling you, it doesn't hold up. It's this is already stuff we can start to argue with. And I was thinking about this today. Some of the best advice I ever got was by when I was an undergrad. He says, if you're going to criticize philosophers, you get them early. You don't let them get rolling. You get them in the first few paragraphs, because once they start rolling, you're not going to be able to stop them. But you get them here. It's already, Dan Dennett has put forward something that's already questionable. And it's if you stop them here, if you stop Dan here, you might have a chance to resist the conclusions. But if you just grant this stuff, Dan's a good philosopher. Dan Dennett is going to kick your ass once you get past the beginning. But this is the thing. We already say we do abide. That's what we do. We're dudes. And that options become obligatory. It's no. It's no. You can reject them. And we have a long history of rejecting technology. It's the Luddites. I mean, go watch Shane's video about the Luddites, which was resisting the technology of the day because it was putting everyone out of business, kind of like AI is doing now. We need a new John Ludd to come up and start smashing the AIs, and this is what we're doing. Read the summer now. No, we're reading this now. Yeah, they lost though. Yeah, well, Vipers. Everyone loses until they win once. It's like you only got to win once. So, but yeah. Resistance is futile. You will be assimilated. Too late, Newtonia. Vipers got here before you, and we read this. So yeah. You want to see me try and break apart the summer? Okay, maybe next stream. Like sure. Like I'll take a look. Okay. It's an old story with many well-known chapters in its evolutionary history. Most mammals can synthesize their own vitamin C, but primates, having opted for a diet composed largely of fruit, lost the innate ability. Frank says, options become nearly obligatory under the weight of competition. Yeah, but again, you can make your own way. You wouldn't press like that without capitalist norms, maybe. You wouldn't press, yeah. I mean, it gets hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but I'm saying there are ways to resist. Like, nowadays, what are you going to do? Like, you're not going to have a cell phone. Can you get by without a cell phone? Yeah, you can get you can get by just fine without a cell phone. Will you be doing all the stuff that you could do with a cell phone nowadays? No, you're going to have a very different kind of life. But if you want to have a job where, say, you farm, you could just go be a farmer on a tractor. You don't need a cell phone to do that. Like, you might need some technology, but you don't have to do it. It's very hard to do. Yeah, so. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Live in a cabin in the woods and Ted Kaczynski stuff. You can do it. It's not like it's impossible. It's just you have to make certain, trade-offs. So if you're trying to have a modern life, yeah, the options become obligatory, but you don't have to have that kind of life. So now, right here, Dennett is saying, well, this is how evolution works. Yes, but this is very different. Over millions of years, where the bodies change due to like diets over millions of years. So this is not the same kind of technology. It's very different. And so he's going to be trying to say, oh, it's just as inevitable. But no, this is not the same thing. AI is showing up now. It's not like we evolved over millions of years. Maybe if AI existed for millions of years and we were dealing with it, then yes, but that's not the same shit. But like that's right where we're getting, it looks like. The self-perpetuating patterns that we call human beings are now dependent on clothes, cooked food, vitamins, vaccinations, credit cards, smartphones, and the internet, and tomorrow, if not already today, AI. But see, this is very different from vitamin C. Very different from vitamin C. Completely different, actually. This is evolved. This is technical conveniences. We could go back, if we bomb ourselves into like stupidity, we'll go back to the way we were. Like we're like farming and like, hunter-gatherer. If we can't, we'll be okay. Like there'll still be humans. But tomorrow, if we without today, are we gonna need AI? We'll be fine without it. Like we'll do more interesting stuff with it, but we're not gonna need it. Okay. Wiener foresaw several problems with this incipient state of affairs that Alan Turing and other early AI optimists largely overlooked. The real danger, he said, is, quote, that such machines, though helpless by themselves, may be used by a human being or a block of human beings to increase their control over the rest of the race, or that political leaders may attempt to control their populations by means not of machines themselves, but through political techniques as narrow and indifferent to human possibility as if they had, in fact, been conceived mechanically. Correct. Yeah, exactly, Vipers. But again, we've had propaganda forever. It's just more effective now because we have a wider reach with our technology, and that is kind of new. New York had a congressman named Wiener. That went well. Exactly. That was great. It was great until it stopped being great because the guy turned out to be a massive perv. And that was bad because he was a cool guy before that. Yeah. Okay, so sure enough, these dangers are now pervasive. And, I'm giving Dennett a little bit of shit right here, but, he's right. This is right. This is what's happened. There's nothing new. So Fox News then, no, it's more Cambridge Analytica. This is using AI to map out people and then, in the background, do stuff to, control the population. Figure out where the voting districts are. And so this is the thing. We're going to use the machines to, control their populations. So this is more Cambridge Analytica and, doing analysis to bypass the actual democracy. So Fox News is part of it, but that's not the AI. That's more the latest version of like political control. So yeah, in the media, okay, so we're getting to the media though now. In media, for instance, the innovations of digital audio and video let us pay a small price in the islands of audiophiles and film lovers when we abandon analog formats and in return provide all too easy reproduction of recordings with almost perfect fidelity. So now you can play clips and make someone look like an asshole. Unreal Brian says, sidebar, Christopher Wiley Mindfuck, or Minddick, I don't know what that is. He was part of Cambridge Analytica. It's a good read. Okay, cool. That whole stuff is kind of fascinating. Yeah, but there is a huge hidden cost. Orwell's Ministry of Truth is now a practical possibility. AI techniques for creating all but undetectable forgeries of recordings of encounters are now becoming available. Yeah, deepfakes. Now we got the deepfakes, which will render obsolete the tools of investigation we have come to take for granted in the past 150 years. Oh, speaking of, I missed the end of Aris's stream the other day, but I saw there was a new Mugshotties Hall of Famer. She murdered someone and then poured Mountain Dew all over herself to cover up the genetic evidence on her hands. And then they said they caught her because there was a bloody knife they found. Does that imply that Mountain Dew is sufficient for ruining genetic evidence? Like, can you clean a crime scene with Mountain Dew? Does that ruin genetic evidence? Because that's like fascinating if that's like true. And I bet you guys got there if anyone was in Aris's stream the other night. Yeah, so I just want to know, is like Mountain Dew sufficient for destroying criminal evidence? Aris, what's up? Yeah, do the do. I mean, I went to bed because I had shitty internet back. I was on vacation and I saw that the other day. I was like, yeah, dude. Oh, I should be giving people shout outs. I had a bunch of people in here who deserve shout outs. Let's start off with our good buddy Aris. Shout out Aristotle. Although all of you, I'm sure, know. If anyone doesn't know Aristotle, he's a ethicist and ancient philosopher, and has a wonderful stream. Talks philosophy, talks a lot of social theory, ethics. What do you do and different things? It's like, yeah. So give him a follow if you haven't. If you're here and you like philosophy, the philosophy streams, go hang out with him. We've also got, I think Vipers is going to start streaming again, and then Tommy was here. The plot thickens. Are you just talking about Arsal? Because he got a nice thick plot. Oh, quote, Daytona Beach Police says 35-year-old Nicole Max asked for a Diet Mountain Dew after being arrested and poured it all over herself, scrubbing her blood-smudged body in hopes of erasing forensic evidence. So that's what the question was. Was that effective? I bet it was, because in the mugshotty thing, it said that they found the bloody knife is how they got her, not the body evidence. O'Neill Bryan says, sucralose, an artificial sweetener found in some diet sodas, including Diet Mountain Dew, has been found to be able to break down genetic material that makes up DNA. Researchers from North Carolina State University and University of North Carolina Chapel Hill found. It remains unclear, however, if the actions Max allegedly took could result in the elimination of forensic evidence. Oh, okay, so Viper's saying she just was trying to clean off, but apparently Diet Mountain Dew can ruin your DNA. That's good to know. Neck tattoo, always a sign of a winner. Yeah, well, I know plenty of people with neck tattoos nowadays. It's not terrible. Yeah. So let's see. Real briefly. Paste and go. Yeah, I mean, that's a little bit like a crappy neck tattoo, though. So. Yeah. I just want to know if if it actually does it. That'd be so crazy. That's so cool. Okay. Good to know. I'm making plans exactly. Like, well, I want to know the possibilities. I was in another stream. You just get a neck tattoo that said "neck" is like accurate. I was telling somebody, like, because I work in the Bronx, and, you know, there's crazy people in the Bronx, and, you know, there's ex-crazy people who done dumb things when they were younger, and so some of their stories, like, I have a few crazy stories. Some of their stories are, like, seriously crazy. Like, you don't hear these stories around. Yeah, Coca-Cola is pretty acidic. Yeah. You would think acid would already work in that direction? Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. But, like, is it enough to, like, completely destroy forensic evidence? I don't know, Frank. I just don't know. It's like, yeah, so it's like, you know, the crazy shit you hear, and like, you know, sometimes these people are completely reasonable now. They've got tattoos all over the place, but like that was their former self that was crazy, and now they're perfectly sort of like, you know, you talk to them, they're anything you want, like a normal person. So it's like, I've had a bunch of experience like with, you know, people ain't as crazy as they used to be, and like now they're not crazy. And it's like, so you're dealing with people that look like they might have been crazy at a certain point, and now they're not. So it's like, yeah. And so some people you wouldn't think are crazy, like have some crazy backstories. They do. But yeah. Frank says maybe she should have washed off the blood using a different victim's blood. That would confuse things. Yes, but then you have to have another victim's blood there. And like, do you really carry around second victim blood with you? Unreal said my stepdad was addicted to Mountain Dew and pipe smoking, and his dentist convinced him to ditch both. Yeah, it's probably a good job on that thing. I'm gonna get a space tattoo on my left arm saying this space intentionally left blank. Yeah. Like, okay. That's always the funny thing when you see that in books. It's like, it's not blank. It said something. All right. We will simply abandon the age of photographic evidence and return to the earlier world in which human memory and trust provided the gold standard, or will we develop new techniques in defense and offense in the arms race of truth? We can imagine a return to analog film exposed to light, kept in tamper-proof systems until shown to juries, etc., but how long would it be before someone figured a way out to infect such systems with doubt? Yeah, I mean, this is going to be an arms race, and I think this is exactly right. Like, people are going to currently are trying to find ways to show what is AI generated, and the AI systems are going to counter with that, and it's just going to be an arms race going forward. So who knows? One of the disturbing lessons of recent experience is that the task of destroying a reputation for credibility is much less expensive than the task of protecting such a reputation. Wiener saw the phenomenon at its most general. In the long run, there is no distinction between arming ourselves and arming our enemies. The information age is also the disinformation age. Analog film seems kinkier to you. Interesting. Okay. I mean, people, you know, there is a hankering for this. People have those, what's it called? The Kodak instant camera things still around. They still make versions of that because, you know, it's kind of fun to like make something right there and have a photo. It's like people do this because there's something else to it. But of course, you can manipulate that stuff just the same. It's just you have to use different techniques. Dennett asks, what can we do? A key phrase, it seems to me, is Wiener's almost offhand observation above that these machines are helpless by themselves. As I've been arguing recently, we're making tools, not colleagues, and the great danger is not appreciating the difference, which we should strive to accentuate, marking and defending it with political and legal innovations. Okay, now we're getting scary. Because if we have to mark it and defend it, that sounds like we have to be... Everything we do is tracked. We have to have our fingerprints on all the things we make. And so that means that everything we do is tracked because we are the ones creating it. It's not the gun that kills people. It's the person that kills people. But then he's saying if we have to mark it and defend it with political, like mark, literally figure out who's doing the gun pulling, then you have to always have like your fingerprints on everything. And fingerprints in a way, I mean like it can always be traced back to you. That's an interesting... Like, well, that's where I think he's going right here. But that's also a little bit scary that says everything you do has to be recorded. Unreal Brian, Norbert Wiener, the guy he's talking about was the founder of cybernetic theory in the 50s. Yeah. That's right. AI in its current manifestations is parasitic on human intelligence, and it's currently parasitic on human products. So it's like all the art stuff that goes out there, it had to be trained on human art. Viper says guns don't kill people, autonomous drones kill people. Exactly. I mean, the stuff coming out of like Ukraine and Russia at the moment is got to be so insane. It's like this must be like every military subcontractor's wet dream to get like this sort of like what works and what doesn't with drone warfare. So it's like, hate to say it, but I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people were just like, no, let's keep this war going because we're getting too much good information about it. Oh, man. So, capitalism, warmongering, yeah. The DoD is salivating, exactly. Like, so many people must be like, this is just like the greatest thing ever. Like, it's in an area we can monitor very easily. It's in like Eastern Europe, and it's like known powers and all this stuff. Oh, God. Frank says, what fingerprints are left when you remotely hack someone else's drone to do your will? Well, this is going to be the problem. We're going to have hacker wars, of course. And like, we're going to have like encryption stuff, access. Yeah, Viper says access logs, all sorts of things. So the question is, will this actually work, or is this just another arms race? I don't know. But like, this is the thing. If you're going to start up here, you're going to say these machines are helpless by themselves. You have to track it back to who's actually pulling the trigger. And like, that's the thing. So, and he's saying parasitic on human intelligence. So again, tracking it back to the human. Is this actually a plausible solution to the problem? I don't know. Like, because I think all the technically sophisticated people in terms of computers in like the community here, I know there's many of you, access logs can also be hacked. Like, yeah, and then who's got access to the access logs and who's securing that securely? Okay, it quite indiscriminately gorges on whatever has been produced by human creators and extracts the pattern to be found there, including some of our most pernicious habits. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows the way chatbots usually go. They get racist and sexist and all sorts of 4chan-y, and not even the good parts of 4chan, the bad parts of 4chan, very quickly. Viper says, I wonder if we'll reach a point where murder bots get depressed because they haven't killed in a while. Yeah, wouldn't be surprised. That would be like, something degrades in their AIs, and then they're just like, they don't know what to do with themselves. So we'll get Bender soon enough. Okay. These machines do not yet have the goals or strategies or capacities for self-criticism and innovation to permit them to transcend their databases by reflectively thinking about their own thinking and their own goals. They are, as Wiener says, helpless not in the sense of being shackled agents or disabled agents, but in the sense of not being agents at all, not having the capacity to be moved by reasons as Kant put it presented to them. It is important that we keep it that way, which will take some doing. Okay, so in other words, we can't actually program them to do stuff on their own. Why would anyone do this? Seems like people are going to do it. Anyway, in the long term, strong AI, or general artificial intelligence, is possible in principle, but not desirable. More on this later. The far more constrained AI that's practically possible today is not necessarily evil, but poses its own set of dangers, chiefly that it might be mistaken for strong AI. Yeah, voice is going, it's okay. This is the thing. I'm not worried that, like, yes, this mistaken for strong AI is the thing where people are, dating their AIs. Like, they think it's like an actual relationship with another person. That's a problem, sure. Is that the biggest problem here? No. But the biggest problem, again, I think is the political, the economic, all the other problems. That we mistake a not real, like, general AI for a general AI. That's a problem, but, like, again, I don't find that to be the most pressing one because, people are going to, they already latch on to a lot of stuff that's not good for them and they know it's not good for them. I saw a meme today where a guy was like, my OnlyFans bill is finally bigger than my rent. And he was like proud of this. He's like, I pay for my sex work. Like, okay. Like, dude, that's a lot of sex work you're paying for though. Like, can't you go find like a girlfriend or something if you have all this money anyway? It's like, you don't need to pay people to like do stuff like that. So it's like, it's kind of like funny. And I'm not like hating on him. It's just like, what are your priorities? But like, we're just going to have AI doing that. It's like, you could spend your money in a more productive area. Exactly, Unreal Vine. It's like, it just seems like you can waste your time on not good, like there's better relationships out there for you than, well, I don't want to hate on the OnlyFans people. Like, there's good relationships you can have with these people. Granted, it costs money. But, again, same thing with the AI. What are you investing into the AI that you're going to get back out that's, like, good enough for you? And I don't know if there's going to be... Maybe it's good enough, but I just don't know. And I suspect that... what was someone asked? I just saw someone was discussing... There was some AI that people were using it sort of as a relationship simulator. God, I can't remember. And they were just asking about this. And like someone asked, how many of you people are using this in like kind of like a, girlfriend or boyfriend simulator? And a lot of them were. And then other people were like, no, that's not what it's good for. And then like a lot of people went quiet. Like they were like people that would normally talk went quiet. So a lot more people were using a certain AI as sort of like a, a partner simulator. AI will be far better than humans at consuming OnlyFans. Yeah. The Dresden Dolls have a song called Coin Operated Boy. Yeah, I saw you play that maybe on your stream a while back. That was a great video. So yeah. Made of plastic and elastic, he is rugged and long lasting. Who could ever ask for more? Love without complications galore. Yeah. See, yeah, and this is the thing. And like movies, yeah, like I think Replica was a movie about this. So this is the thing. But we've already had vibrators and like other sex toys for a long time. And again, if you're getting what you want out of like this, that's good. But again, maybe there's other things. So it's like, who knows? So but is this the grand danger of AI that we're going to be distracted by not that great AIs to be just distracted? Yeah, I don't like it's another form of entertainment. I'm less worried about that. Like in general, that like AI entertainment is going to be too good and then we're just going to turn into idiots. Maybe, probably not though. Okay, continuing. Replica is an AI program supposed to be a friend AI that was used for romance sex until the company cut that ability. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, there's definitely been movies where, I mean, what was that movie? I mean, there's movies where they make genetically engineered things and then people fall in love with it. Then there was one with AIs. It's like they redo this a bunch of times. I wasn't thinking of her. I was thinking more of the robot ones, not the like the voice in your head with Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, that was the person I couldn't remember before. I also had a picture of Scarlett. I had a picture of Jessica Alba and Scarlett Johansson when I was in college. That's what I had on my wall. I think that's no. I also had Angelina Jolie, but maybe that was later. I forget. Yeah. So, but yeah, this is the thing. If you get yourself into a position like her, it's like, what was the criticism from like his girlfriend that like, oh, you're dating an AI, you're an idiot or whatever. It's like, yeah, you can't deal with a real person, but like then again, the AIs there were more general intelligence. The problem here that Dennett is saying is that if it's not really up to that level yet, and then we're fooled by it, then we're just going to be bamboozled by a not very good artificial intelligence, making it like it's a real relationship, but then it's going to fail in the end, inevitably, because it's not a very good artificial intelligence, it's just faking it. So it's like, is that the real danger? Probably not. I don't think so, at least. I didn't see Blade Runner 24/7. I have just not seen a lot of movies in the last few years, and that's my fault. I love the original Blade Runner, so I should go see 24/7. I think I even have the file on my computer for years, and I have not watched it. But that's on me. Oh, I have to get back up on the pop culture. I'm not up on it. Alright, anyway. The gap between today's systems and the science fictional systems dominating popular imagination is still huge, though many folks, both lay and expert, manage to underestimate it. Let's consider IBM's Watson, which can stand as a worthy landmark for our imaginations for the time being. 2049, been playing Cyberpunk lately? Yeah, I was watching, I never played Cyberpunk, but I watched people play it. I was watching guy shout out earlier, Excessive Profanity, play Cyberpunk. He had a great time. It really looks like a good game. It was marred by a bad rollout on some consoles, but other than that, like once they fixed up all the problems and some of the mods you can get now, it just looks like fantastic. So it's a good game. Yeah, and it's got Keanu in it, which is kind of fun. Okay, so IBM's Watson is the result of a very large-scale R&D process extending over many centuries of intelligent design, and uses thousands times more energy than a human brain. Its victory in Jeopardy was a genuine triumph, made possible by the formulaic restrictions of the Jeopardy rules, but in order for it to compete, even These rules had to be revised, one of those trade-offs you give up a little versatility, a little humanity, and get a crowd-pleasing show. Watson is not good company in spite of misleading ads from IBM that suggested general conversational ability, and turning Watson into a plausible multi-dimensional agent would be like turning a hand calculator into Watson. Watson could be a useful core faculty for such an agent, but more like a cerebellum or an amygdala than a mind. At best, a special purpose subsystem that could play a big supporting role, but not remotely up to the task of framing purposes and plans and building insightful on conversational experiences, which of course we have now with the latest large language models. Why would we want to create a thinking creative agent out of Watson? Perhaps Turing's brilliant idea of an operational test, the famous Turing test, has lured us into a trap. The quest to create at least the illusion of a real person behind the screen, bridging the uncanny valley. The danger here is that ever since Turing posed his challenge, which was, after all, a challenge to fool the judges, AI creators have attempted to paper over the valley with cutesy humanoid touches, Disneyfication effects that will enchant and disarm the uninitiated. Joseph Weizenbaum's Eliza, a very early chatbot, was the pioneer example of such superficial illusion making, and it was his dismay at the ease with which his laughably simple and shallow program could persuade people they were having a serious heart-to-heart conversation that first sent him on his mission. Yes and no. A lot of shit's smoke and mirrors in real life too. And so the idea that we're fooling the judges is not, you shouldn't discount this. Just because you think you can, if you fool most of the people most of the time, you can do very well for yourself. Hello, Donald Trump. It's come on, you don't just you can't discount the stupid. The stupid makes a difference. And I know Dan Dennett wants to be I'm a philosopher. It means it's important shit. You have to get things right. But again, people are dumb fucking things. And the idea that the dumb things aren't useful, you have to understand why they do work. What are people grabbing onto? It's don't discount the quick and dirty. All right. He was right to be worried. If there's one thing we've learned from the restricted Turing test competitions for the annual Loebner Prize, it is that even very intelligent people who aren't tuned into the possibilities and shortcuts of computer programming are readily taken by simple tricks. Yeah, but why? If you can explain why, that's much more impressive than that they are. You have to know why people are taken in by these tricks. What is it? Okay. Viper says, a few weeks ago I watched a video of a guy who hooked ChatGPT to Unreal Engine 5's Matrix demo so he was able to walk around the city and using speech-to-text, told the NPCs that they were living in a simulation, and they were able to respond in novel natural language. Yeah, I think they said, I know there's multiple reports, I haven't followed this closely, but that they're hooking up some sort of AI language model into video games so that you can have more interactivity with NPCs. This is already in the works. I think maybe it wasn't Unreal Engine 5, maybe it was Unity. This is already in the works. They're going to have it as a feature of the engine that you're going to have it hooked into a large language model so that all the people in your universe will be able to be, you can converse with them if you want to. So it's yeah, it's on its way. It's on its way. And it's cool that some guy already figured out how to automate the back end. But I think it's already in the planned feature list. Frank Big Time says more interactivity and also a world that keeps going on its own is a convincing way for the player to return to. Yeah, I mean, the problem is what makes a good video game then? And the fact that you're talking to a large language model isn't actually going to be sufficient. It's going to be a nice feature in the future, but it's not actually going to bring people back to making the game fun. You're going to have to make the game fun, which is not you can go online and talk to a chatbot now, and people do this, but that's not what a fun game makes. Yeah. Thank you, Vipers. Appreciate it. So again, it'll be a cool feature, better graphics, more realistic graphics are a really cool feature, and you can be wowed by computer graphics, but again, that is not what makes a game fun because, people are still playing Tetris, which is blocks. A lot of games are still just blocks. You don't need graphics to make a fun game, and you don't need a large language model to keep a world interesting. It's something else. Minesweeper with all the mines creatively taunting me. Yeah, exactly. Like, I play Minesweeper. Like, I'm in the blocks side of the world. So, yep. But again, if you're trying to build a world that seems like it has depth to it, the fact that you can go talk to different characters and they'll all have something different to say to you would be kind of interesting. So, like, I mean, we're gonna have to, like, ways to have different sort of chat based on who the character is. So you're gonna have to have different language models or different restrictions on them. But, like, that'll all be coming. One thing that happened to my dad was he was playing Words with Friends, and he was playing random Words with Friends, the app on your phone, which is kind of like Scrabble. And he realized he was getting matched with AI opponents, and it pissed him off. He was like, I don't want to play against the computer. I want to play against real people. And it became clear to me in his interactions, they apologized to him and said, oh, we were just trying this out. No, they were boosting engagement because it made it less of a wait time to match players. But like, it really pissed him off because he wanted to play with real people, but he could tell by his interaction he was basically Turing testing the player he was against by like the chat availability or whatever. And so like, it drove him nuts. So they took him out of it, but they were doing this to keep engagement. And so like, that's the thing, if you have some sort of content like Scrabble or Words with Friends, and then you're using the AI stuff to keep the engagement level up, that's going to make people who are selling ads and all other things in the world a lot of money because it'll keep the engagement up. So it'll be a part of the part of the game system. Okay. The attitudes of people in AI towards these methods of dissembling at the user interface have ranged from contempt to celebration, with a general appreciation that the tricks are not deep but can be potent. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They are important. One shift in attitude that would be very welcome is a candid acknowledgement that humanoid embellishments are false advertising, something to condemn, not to applaud. I mean, yes, you should say when you're dealing with an AI and not a person, but again, that's not happening. Frank says, playing Tetris, I wouldn't need every match to be against another human, but if there were no other humans in the ladder, I would obviously lose interest too. But then if it tricked me well enough, I wouldn't care, so who knows? That's the thing. Again, but like, what are you trying to get out of Tetris? Are you trying to, be the best in the world? Because the computer can obviously just beat you. You're just beating, like, same in chess. We don't play chess or we don't play Tetris against the computers because that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get better to be the best we can be. But it's more fun when you're playing against another person because it's like their ideas versus your ideas. But when you're playing against like the bots, it's not the same. It's like you might be getting better, but it's like a different kind of intelligence, and so you're not learning the same amount. One of the nice things about the chess bots is that it does seem like we have learned from the chess bots. So it's like we have gained something, but it's like, again, it's more impressive to see people do it than enough. But like, again, yeah, if it's tricking you well enough, then it's more like an artificial general intelligence, and like, it doesn't matter at that point. But again, if it's just like just a silly bot, it's like, it's not as helpful. And Go is leap forward too. Yeah, this is the thing. Like, yeah, like, we're learning stuff, but again, it's not so much fun just to get your ass kicked. And then for it to always be dialed down to your level again, what are you learning? It's like, do we actually understand what's going on? That's less fun than like being able to talk to a chess master and learn from them, or a Tetris person and like understand what they're doing as opposed to what you're doing. Is there a word for Tetris master, Tetris champion, something? Who knows? Yeah. So again, what are you getting out of it is the question here. So like, false advertising, what is that? Like, what do you actually want from the thing? Because as Frank says, who cares sometimes? Maybe you just want that. Tetris Grammatron. Yes, there. Thank you, Vipers. Okay. How could that be accomplished? Once we recognize that people are starting to make life or death decisions largely based on the basis of advice from AI systems whose inner operations are unfathomable in practice, we can see a good reason why those who in any way encourage people to put more trust in these systems than they warrant should be held morally and legally accountable. Yeah. So it's like, if you say, oh yeah, trust our system, and then something goes bad, it's like, well, it's not the system's fault, it's that the person who told you it was trustable's fault. AI systems are very powerful tools, so powerful that even experts will have good reason not to trust their own judgment over the judgments delivered by their tools. Yeah, we're getting to medical decisions by computers are better than by doctors nowadays in certain areas. But then if these tool users are going to benefit financially or otherwise from driving these tools through terra incognita, they need to make sure they know how to do this responsibly with maximum control and justification. Yeah, if you're like doing cancer diagnoses using a computer model, you can't start someone on chemo immediately without double checking. I mean, there might get to be a point where we don't double check anymore, but at the moment we ain't there yet. But it's like, yeah, this might be something we need to do because chemo is basically poison that kills the cancer before it kills the person. And so it's like you don't want to be just poisoning a person for no good reason. I mean, false positives are really dangerous in medicine. Okay, so licensing and bonding the operators of these systems, just as we license pharmacists, crane operators, and other specialists whose errors and misjudgments can have dire consequences, could with pressure from insurance... Thanks for the follow. Pressure from insurance companies and other underwriters oblige creators of AI systems to go to extraordinary lengths to search for and reveal weaknesses and gaps in their productions and to train those entitled to operate them to watch out for them. Okay, so this is the insurance model saying that you have to pay for them, like whoever is running them has to pay for them. So this means like Tesla would have to have insurance, and it wouldn't be on the person if the car gets into a crash, but Tesla's insurance, that like the car manufacturer. So that's interesting. Unreal Brian says computers AI have gotten good at examining retinal photos and finding problems. Yeah, so in certain areas we're getting there. My buddy SPSH Kairos, let's give Kairos a shout out. Shout out SPSH Kairos. This is what he used to do. He was in Silicon Valley before the pandemic, and he was doing this sort of work. He was doing AI for medical purposes. And so if you are interested in Tetris bots, Minesweeper bots, artificial intelligence, programming and game design, or just, community stuff, because he played a lot of games with people, and his cat's sick, and so we raised some money in the last few days. You can go donate to his cat named Cat, who needed surgery. But he does this on stream. But that's exactly what he was up to quite recent, a few years back now, Unreal Brian. And so, yeah. He was developing AI using certain imaging technology to see if it could identify diseases based on those images. So, yeah. One can imagine a sort of inverted Turing test in which the judge is on trial. Until he or she can spot the weaknesses, the overstepped boundaries, the gaps in the system, no license to operate will be issued. The mental training required to achieve certification as a judge will be demanding. The urge to attribute human-like powers of thought to an object, our normal tactic whenever we encounter what seems to be an intelligent agent, is almost overpoweringly strong. Yeah. I mean, this is the thing. How do you regulate this? Now, Dennett is saying you need insurance. And it's insurance on the people who create the thing. Is this a thing? I don't know. Viper says I should get high one day, call up an insurance broker, explain the philosophy of Roulette, and tell them that you're interested in taking out philosophy liability insurance. Oh, I don't think I've been hung up on it before, but I'd get hung up on. That'd be like prank calling them. Yeah. And actually, I wouldn't be hung up. They'd just, they'd quote me a price and be like, you want to give us money? We'll take your money. And it'd probably be for not very good coverage for, a lot of money. But yeah, I'm sure they'd sell me something. I was once sitting in Madison Square Park in Manhattan, and I had someone come up to me selling insurance. And I started laughing at them. I'm like, you don't know my medical history. They're like, we will still sell you medical insurance. And I was like, it was just like, they were just like, it'll just cost more money. It's like, of course we'll sell it to you. Philosophy malpractice insurance. There was a Faux News website which had fake philosophy news, kind of like The Onion for philosophy. And what was it? They had a hilarious article saying that Kripke got drummed out of his university for faking the results of thought experiments. So it's it's in this sort of range of joke. Like, he faked his thought experiments. Kick him out. Yeah. Let's see if I can find that. Oh, Bill News. This was hilarious. Yeah, here we go. I mean, this is like this was I think the funniest thing. So there you go. But like, yeah. So like, could you take insurance out against your philosophy and be like, I didn't get it right or got it wrong? Who knows? Okay. How much more we got? We got a few paragraphs. Not much. Okay. Yeah, I mean, we want people to be like behind our stuff, and we want like to attribute human-like powers, but that's because we don't really understand the AI. It's a very new tech, and so the idea that we're overstepping our like the warrant of responsibility we give to machines is actually very new, because it's only been very recently that we've had machines that are powerful or technology that's powerful, and every other time that there was a powerful technology, it was like a intelligent animal, like, you know, a dog that plausibly has mind and understands things, or other people. Hey, Tanned Alba, what's up? You want to offer promotion? You're so kind. Thank you. Thank you. So helpful. People think they can help me. You can't help me. You can try to help me. I love people trying to give me advice. Like, people don't understand me. Like, yeah. Oh, yeah. The one time, yeah, it happens. What's up, Maddie? How you been? You're like, you don't know me. Like, people will be like, try to give me advice. I'm like, you don't know who you're dealing with. Like, I know your advice. I know you're trying to help me. It's like, you're trying to help yourself. You're not trying to help me. How you been, Maddie? Hope you're well. Okay. So, indeed, the capacity to resist the allure of treating an apparent person as a person is an ugly talent, reeking of racism or speciesism. Many people would find the cultivation of such a ruthlessly skeptical approach morally repugnant, and we can anticipate that even the most proficient system users would occasionally succumb to the temptation to befriend their tools, if only to assuage their discomfort with the execution of their duties. It's like, yeah, it's like if you want to cut off a certain class of things from being intelligent, that is a dangerous thing. That's a good point. Trying to help me by making my wallet less heavy to carry around. When I was just out of college, when I was a senior in college, I was 21 or whatever, so I could afford my beer, and I was walking on the block in the fuck was that called? It was in Allston, Boston. And there were always some kids, like, you know, they were in a bad way. They were either homeless or, you know, drugs. And so I was carrying like a big old heavy thing of beer. I was like, is that too heavy? So this girl's like, is that too heavy for you? I'm like, no. He's like, you sure you don't want it lightened? I'm like, no. I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. And then I was like, but would you like a beer? She was like, yes, please. So I gave her a beer. It's like, I was like, yeah. She just looked like she was a runaway. I felt bad for her. But what are you going to do? Yeah, thick wallet could cause back problems. She was trying to help me lighten my load to get back to my home. I lived on Glenville. That's what it was called. Anyone who knows Allston, you probably know Glenville Ave. I was on Glenville Ave. And I was walking home from the cross of Harvard Ave with the liquor stores over there down Glenville. Yeah. Their domain is Dogehype. Oh, Sheems. Too soon. Yeah, Dogehype. That's funny, though. Oh. Poor Cheems. But yeah. Okay. So yeah, it's like people are going to think and you see this all the time. People are like, we have the greatest AI ever. It's general intelligence. And then someone else shoots it down. But it's going to be inevitable. People really like what they make because that's why they made it, because they think it's cool. So it's like, yeah. So, I mean, Dennett has a point here. No matter how scrupulously the AI designers launder the phony human touches out of their wares, we can expect a flourishing of shortcuts, workarounds, and tolerated distortions of the actual comprehension of both the systems and their operators. The comically long list of known side effects of new drugs advertised on television will be dwarfed by the obligatory revelations of the sorts of questions that cannot be responsibly answered by particular systems, with heavy penalties for manufacturers who overlook flaws in their products. It is widely known that a considerable part of the growing economic inequality in today's world is due to the wealth accumulated by digital entrepreneurs who should enact legislation that puts their deep pockets in escrow for the public good. Okay, so we've got Andrew Yang down here. But yeah. And this is the thing. This is cutesy. Like, everyone should know that you can't ask ChatGPT certain questions. Like, it doesn't do certain things very well. Like, if you ask it for biographies of people, it fucks it up. If you ask it for, like, philosophical research or, like, research stuff, it doesn't quite get the references right, and so you have to go double check. You might be able to find references, but you have to go check that what it says is actually what it means. Because, you know, it's cross-checking words. It's not always it can't cross-check the meaning. It doesn't always understand that sometimes someone's just mentioning something when they, like, it might be, like, when you need to criticize it, they might be mentioning it or criticizing it, but you need to, like, support it or something else. And so it's like, you can't always do that. It doesn't always get the context right. And so it's like, it's just not useful for certain stuff. So it's like, I wonder if, like, when, like, ChatGPT needs, like, you know, fine print saying, do not use for these sorts of questions, because it won't work, or it won't work well. That's an interesting way to do it. Have it like a disclaimer. All right. Dennett says, we don't need artificial conscious agents. There's a surfeit of natural conscious agents. I completely agree with that. Artificial intelligence, general intelligence, really won't do much for us if it's like our intelligence. There's plenty of agents out there. Okay, there's a surfeit of natural conscious agents, enough to handle whatever tasks should be reserved for such special and privileged entities. We need intelligent tools. Tools do not have rights and should not have feelings that could be hurt or be able to respond with resentment or abuse to abuses rained on them by inept users. Viper says, recently asked Bard to make a Green Party press release. Got everything more or less correct except the names of the fucking candidate. Exactly. Does not do biographies. So it can get the general story, because I guess it would understand the general principles of like the Green Party, because that's out there. But does it know the contemporary candidate? No. And so it's like, again, good for certain things, not so great for other stuff. Artificial intelligence made out of human stupidity. Yes, that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's what the internet is. It looked at these huge swaths of the internet, like a lot of Reddit, and that's why Reddit has had a bunch of problems. And same with Twitter, why they restricted certain access. My understanding is why they had certain access restrictions on Twitter, and why Reddit also put certain access restrictions on it, is because they have all this data that can be used to make large language models, and they don't want to just give this away anymore. So it's like, yeah, but like, I mean, this is exactly it. It's everything that's said on forums, which most of it's stupid, but if you get enough of it together, then you can get what sounds like a person. Anyway. One of the reasons for not making artificial conscious agents is that, however autonomous they might become, and in principle they can be autonomous, as self-enhancing or self-creating as any person, they would not, without special provision, which might be waived, share with us natural conscious agents our vulnerability and mortality. Okay, so now he's starting to get into the ethics. That if they are not mortal or vulnerable like us, that is a problem. Dennett once posed a challenge to students at a seminar at Tufts on artificial agents and autonomy. Give me the specs for a robot that could sign a binding contract with you, not as a surrogate for some human owner, but on its own. This isn't a question of getting it to understand the clauses or manipulate a pen on a piece of paper, but of having and deserving legal status as a morally responsible agent. Small children can't sign such contracts, nor can those disabled people whose legal status requires them to be under the care and responsibility of guardians of one sort or another. So, good question, Dan. When would it be allowed that an artificial thing could sign a contract like a human can, or like a responsible adult in our society would? I mean, it's hard. The problem for robots who might want to attain such an exalted status is that, like Superman, they are too invulnerable to be able to make a credible promise. If they were to renege, what would happen? What would happen to the penalty? What would be the penalty for promise breaking? Being locked in a cell, or more plausibly, dismantled? Being locked up is barely an inconvenience for AIs unless we first install artificial wanderlust that cannot be ignored or disabled by the AI on its own, and would be systematically difficult to make this a foolproof solution, given the presumed cunning and self-knowledge of the AI. And dismantling an AI, either a robot or a bedridden agent like Watson, is not killing it if the information stored in its design and software is preserved. Yeah, I mean, there's no downside. Like, you can't, it can't suffer. Basically, you're saying the AI has to be able to suffer, and we have to be able to make it suffer. I mean, aren't we wonderful things? The very ease of digital recordings and transmitting, the breakthroughs that permit software and data to be, in effect, immortal, remove robots from the world of the vulnerable, at least robots of the usually imagined sorts with digital software and memories. If this isn't obvious, think about how human morality would be affected if we could make backups of people every week, say, diving headfirst on Saturday off a high bridge without benefit of a bungee cord would be a rush that you wouldn't remember when your Friday night backup was put online Sunday morning, but you could enjoy the videotape of your apparent demise thereafter. What was that movie called? The Sixth Day, with Schwarzenegger, where you could take a recording of yourself. That was a fun movie. So yeah, that's kind of like this. So you could do crazy stuff, die, and then they could, like, reset you from a few days before. Yeah, the Sixth Day. Thanks, Maddie. So this is a good point. If it can't suffer and you could take backups, then you could go do stupid shit and, like, go rob a bank. If it works, you like get away with it. And if it doesn't work, well, you kill that one off and you reset yourself. And then the reset would not have robbed the bank. So would they be morally culpable? See, there we go. Are you morally culpable for your future deeds if the person in the history, didn't do it yet, even though they may have had the desire to? Now we've got weird problems. Okay, so what we are creating are not and should not be conscious humanoid agents, but an entirely new sort of entity, rather like oracles, with no conscience, no fear of death, no distracting loves and hates, no personality, but all sorts of foibles and quirks that would no doubt be identified as the personality of the system. Boxes of truths, if we're lucky, almost certainly contaminated with the scattering of falsehoods. So this is what we are creating. Like, not this humanoid thing, but like, LLMs. It will be hard enough learning to live with them without distracting ourselves with fantasies about the singularity in which these AIs will enslave us literally. The human use of human beings will soon be changed once again forever, but we can take the tiller and steer between some of the hazards if we take responsibility for our trajectory. Okay, so, I mean, this is fun. Like, Dennett knows what he's talking about. The question here at the end is, though, it's like, yeah, did he say anything here? It's like we just have to figure out how to deal with these LLMs that are not agents, that just sound like humans but have lots of, like, foibles. Like Vipers just said, it understood one thing but then fucked up the most important part, the actual candidate. So, like, this is a thing. It understands the truth of the Green Party, or what the Green Party takes to be true, but it is still scattered with falsehoods. So it's like, yeah. It's like, how do we actually deal with this? And this isn't so much the problem of AIs as the problem of technology, because once you have a big enough gun, you can enslave a lot of people. That's basically where AIs are now. They're getting to the point where you can, manipulate lots of people, and that's what we're getting to right here. So we have to do stuff. And, from 2017, good on Dennett for getting most of the problems right. Yeah. So, anything else to say about this? I don't know. It's like, yeah, what's the questions here? Like, the fact that it's fooling us isn't so important. Who cares? The fact that we're using this to fuck up our lives, that's more important. And that's kind of what we got to do. Are we going to make these LLMs like Bard or Chat GPT and say, all right, well, you can use them in these situations, and then have a huge block of fine print saying, but if it's any of this other stuff, it's not going to be right. Or you can't fault us when it goes wrong. And then they have insurance to cover the gray area. Maybe, but that's not going to fix anything. So, because people are, off-label use, like that's the thing. In drugs, we have off-label use. People are going to find things that says, well, you can't use it for this, and then they find out you can use it for it, and then people are going to use it for that. So it's like it's going to get real fucking messy. I mean, that's how it's been lately. All this new tech is getting messy. I don't know if I have anything like super smart to say at this point. I'm just like dead, but brain's fried. But still, what do we need? He's saying we don't need artificial conscious agents. I completely agree with that. We need better tech that is better useful for us, that is going to provide us with things we want, not this shit like is just going to be, allowing us to be stupid. Yeah, it's gonna everything we do is gonna allow us to be stupid, but we don't want it to be used for nefarious purposes like controlling populations and screwing people with people's lives. But yeah, it's like if it allows you to kill people, bad. If it allows you to take people's rights away, bad. And Dennett's saying, well, how can you actually force them to not do this? He's saying basically they have to be able to suffer, which is really funny. Let's see. Where did he say that? Yeah, things with yeah, too invulnerable. They have to be vulnerable. What does that mean? They have to suffer. You have to be able to make them scared of suffering. So they have to be vulnerable. And that's the weird thing. Share with us natural conscious agents our vulnerability or our mortality. You have to make them scared of something so that you can hold that stick up so that they act the way we want them to. And currently we have no way of doing that. So it goes back to the people wielding them, and if we can't go after the people wielding the AIs, then we've got a problem, because the AIs don't have the vulnerability at the moment. Okay, so that's it for now. I don't think I'm out of brain power. It's been a long few weeks for me. So let's go see if we can raid somebody. It'd be real nice to be able to go raid somebody. And yeah, let's go do that. Back to Twitch. Who do we got? Maybe Ann's up. Maybe other people are up. I don't know. But thank you all for being here. No ranking. Oh my god. This is what I'm talking about. I don't remember shit. Thank you. So yeah, let's give a rank. Oh my god. Button. There we go. Rank. Rank time. Oh my god. Thank you, Vipers. Now here's the thing. Rank the paper. See, like I'm losing it. You can use the emotes. Thanks for here. Use the emotes. Tell me what you think about it. Did this have fun ideas in it? Then you do the brain dance. And you use the brain dance on the far side of the screen. Not what it says right here, but all the way over. So then did the grapes. Did this make big claims that shriveled up? No. Dennett knew what his audience was. He knew what he had to say. The navel gazing. Well, this was public, so this is not really only for academics. Ouroboros. Did this talk about deep ancient mysteries or big ideas? Maybe. It's up to you for you to decide. The Scream, was this existential or artistic? I didn't think this had too many things about what it is to be alive, existential stuff. Golden Turd, all style, no substance, still poop underneath, and the knife, slice and dice. You can also just give a, like Unreal Brian did, the generic vote yay, the Twitch Global. So you can do that. So Unreal Brian, thank you for voting, said fun ideas with brain dance, and it's a good paper, vote yay. Viper says, when you have, say, a JPG file over and over again, it will start to show comprehension artifacts until it's completely corrupted. I wonder what the cognitive version of that would look like with AI. Yeah, like the LLM will start to get corrupted, and over time, due to, hardware failures, software failures, bits getting flipped, all sorts of things. Okay, thanks, Frank, for the, brain dance Ouroboros and vote yay. Yeah, so and if anyone here is in chat, you are welcome to do this now. Like, you are, just because for fact that you're here, you can do it. I'm going to go with brain dance too. Brain dance. I think it should get a vote yay. Seems like this was not a bad paper, especially given its age. It seems like he was on top of his game. Viper says it's poop underneath. It's not like super fancy. I kind of get where you're going with that, Vipers. It didn't say a whole lot. It just kind of said, be careful with the AIs, their tools, and it's like the people using them. So, I got you. Let's see who we got. Overview, live. Reaps, Turtles and Chill. Naz is still up. Wiener Vision, Stars. Okay. Oh, and Anne's up. So we'll go raid Anne in a minute. Cause I like Anne. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna give this. Yeah. See. Well, Frank, it kind of doesn't. It kind of doesn't. It engaged with Turing. I can see both sides on this. So I'm just going to give it a brain dance and a yay. I don't think it's that fancy. It's a public work of public philosophy. It's cool. But you see, it was really well written. Dennett knew what he was doing. He made some good points. I don't actually have a problem with saying it is kind of crap or it isn't kind of crap. It's just kind of how you feel about it. And that's all right. Like, you know, it's not, thing.